Hi everyone, hope y'all are having a great day today. And today I want to show you how to disassemble a Remington 1148. Now I recently purchased this gun to fix up, and I'm not sure if this is going to show up on the camera, but the barrel needs to be re-blued and probably the receiver. And I'm also going to have to refinish the stock and the forearm here. But today I want to show you guys how to disassemble this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. And you can expect that from time to time, whenever I get into some of the tighter areas, that I will have some pictures pop up on the screen to make it a little bit easier. And one thing too, before we get started here, I want to go ahead and show you what tools you're going to need. You're going to need a couple of punches to knock out the trigger mechanism. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, a very long flathead screwdriver, a small hammer. I have a ball peen hammer, but any hammer should do, and a pair of pliers here. These are not probably totally necessary, but you can get them and it'll make your life a little bit easier. So if you have some on hand, go ahead and grab them. Those are just needle nose pliers, so hopefully you have those on hand and they'll make your life a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and get to the actual disassembly process. The first thing you're going to do is make sure the gun is unloaded, and I've already checked mine and it is unloaded, so just make sure right here there's not a shell in the chamber. Then you're going to take and right above the forearm, if you're holding the gun to where the barrel is pointing up, right above the forearm, that screws off. There's a little metal object and it will screw off. Let's go ahead and take that off and lay it to the side. Forearm comes right out, and now the barrel will come off. Just like that. So if you're doing a basic cleaning and you don't really want to get any further, that's all you need to do to take the barrel off. But if you want to go ahead and go further, the next thing I'm going to recommend you do is there's a spring tension here deal that will work off. If you need to clean that, go ahead and just pull it right on off there. You can clean that if you want to. Now you're going to take your trigger out. Okay, so at this point I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and close the chamber. So grab the bolt part and push the button and gently push it forward. Just want to make sure it doesn't slam or anything like that. Probably wouldn't be too natural for it, you know, it'd be a little bit different. So then you're going to take your punch and you're going to punch out one of the screws, or one of the punches, either way. I recommend you get it started, and then if you're fortunate that you have a smaller punch, go ahead and put that in there and hold it sideways after you get it started with the bigger one. Knock out the back one, lay it to the side, and now the smaller one that's in there, punch it out, and your trigger will come right out whenever you get through with this. Grab this one out. Just a little bit more. There we go. Alright, now the trigger came out. Okay, now what will also come out here is just part of the bolt. This isn't anything to worry about coming out, it just goes right here on the side. I'll show you guys that a little bit later on when we're reassembling it. Okay, so now the next step is to take the bolt out. So go ahead and take this part right here. It's going to just pull out. It's the part that you pull back whenever you're in a chamber again. Just pulls out like that. Okay. So now you're going to pull the bolt out. So I'm going to recommend you hold it upside down just to make sure nothing comes flying out at you. It shouldn't, you know. Just make sure that nothing disassembles on the bolt assembly. And pull it right out. You may have to pull this little silver spring thing out a little bit to get it out easier. And it should just pull right out. Okay. Now let's say you want to get the stock off. The first thing you're going to need to do is to get the butt pad off. So there's two Phillips screws, one here and one here in the back of the stock. You're going to take those off, and that will take the butt pad off. So I'll go ahead and do that. And if you're wondering, this is actually very similar to Disassembly and 1100. So it's the same series of gun, but just very slightly different. Go ahead and lay that off to the side. Now this is where your long flathead screwdriver is going to come in handy. What you're going to do is I'm going to kind of push this way, and this is where also a little flashlight, one tool I forgot to tell you guys about, or a bore light actually, will probably work better if you have one of those, but you can use a flashlight too. You can shine it up in there. Whenever you do, you'll see that there is a screw in there. It is a flathead screw. So you'll take your screwdriver here, put it in here, And you can take this off. And if you have a vise, it would be very good and very helpful to you to put it in there at this point. It really is a little bit tough to get out whenever you're holding it with your hands like this. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of push my light here like this so I can see in there and see which way I need to line the screw up in. And just turn it. And then if you start to feel it getting loose, what you're going to want to do is just grab your chamber here, especially if you're holding over an edge of the table like I was, and make sure that nothing, whenever they come apart, your chamber doesn't fall. Okay, I think I got that loose. Nope, just a little bit more. A little bit more. I see. It's pretty easy to disassemble. The stock's probably the most contrary part just because of how dark it is in there. Most of the time you probably aren't going to have to take this off unless you're actually wanting to clean inside the stock or something. And there you go, you're totally disassembled. Everything except for the trigger. I'm not going to disassemble that. You should be able to clean it pretty well without having to totally disassemble it, and I'm just not going to get into that at this point. But as far as everything outside of this, it is totally disassembled at this point. So now I'll go ahead and you guys can pause the video and clean it or do whatever you want to, and I'll show you how to reassemble it real quick. So let's go ahead and get to that. First thing you're going to do is put the stock back on. So this metal post on the back that curves a little bit down, you're going to slide the stock back onto it. There's a hole in the front of the stock. Make sure you get that on good and secure so that whenever you're tightening it up, it doesn't bust your wood or anything like that because you tightened it. As long as you make sure it's all flush and everything, give it a couple of taps and hold your hand there, I think you should be fine. Okay, you get my bore light back out here so I can see in there. You may have to kind of push that screw back in there a little bit. And once again, like the disassembly, this is probably it's not difficult, but it's a little bit contrary trying to get this back in here just because of the angle and everything. Once you get started, it goes pretty easy though. Whenever I got this gun, it was actually very dirty and I stuck it in some liquids to clean it up. So if you're going to do that, go ahead and do it. It worked very well. Actually, it looked like whenever I bought it, the gun had never been cleaned before. So it definitely needed that. Tighten this up there. Alright, we have our stock back on. Make sure you get that good and snug. Go ahead and put the butt plate back on. I haven't actually gotten to shoot this gun yet, just been disassembling it and working on it, and it's been a pretty easy process. Okay, I'll go ahead and lay this back over here sideways. Okay, so I'm going to recommend that you definitely go ahead and put this back in here, because the way this works, this piece that came out, probably came out whenever you took the trigger out, it actually stays in there by one of the trigger pins, so you're going to put that in there. Or actually, you know what, let's change that. Let's go ahead and put the bolt back in. Now this is where your needle nose pliers are going to come in handy. Go ahead and just hold this upside down like this and get the bolt started. And I'll have a picture up here for you here in a minute, whenever I need to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, this, back in this stock, that curved piece that the stock goes on, there's a spring in there. And that's what helps the bolt to go back and forth. And so those two pieces, let me see here if I can get them out for you and show you. These two pieces go back into that area of the stock. And that's how the bolt compresses. You have the bolt and then you have the two pieces that come back like this. And that's what goes in there. Here's one of them, this piece right here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your pliers and you're going to stick them down in there to where you can easily put them in that hole. Once you get them in the hole, just go ahead and let go of your pliers, kind of hold it with your finger. Push the bolt back just far enough that you can get this piece back in here, and just cock it back with your hand in there. Should go in there somewhat easily. You may have to push it pretty hard depending on how much the gun's been shot. Alright, I got mine back in there. Now do not cock the bolt back yet. Go ahead and put your trigger in there, okay? So you want to go ahead and put this piece in there first. Make sure you line it up with the hole. Once again, I'll have a picture in there for you. Okay, mine's lined up. And that is one of the trickier parts of assembly, is keeping it lined up when you put the trigger in there. Okay, I got mine in there. I usually like to do the smaller one first because that is the more difficult area. You tap it with your ball peen or your hammer, and then whenever you get it closer to the chamber, go ahead and use your punch so that you don't damage or scratch your deal. There we go. Got my back or my front pin in there. Now I'll put the back one in there. There we go. Finish it off here with my punch. Alright, now you should be good to go ahead and cock this back. Yep, everything went well there. Now, go ahead and push this part back that we pushed up so that we can get the bolt on there quicker. And push this down. Now, if you look, this will say this end forward toward muzzle for all loads. So that means this end goes towards the barrel. So it goes in spring first. And this, you just kind of work it on here. Just kind of turn it back and forth, screw it, push it. Just kind of work it on here. There we go. Perfect. And I like to leave just a very, very small portion of gap, just to allow that to, just maybe a fingernail width, just to allow that ability to move a little bit. Okay. Now go ahead and put your barrel back in. Just goes on like so. Now you can put your forearm on. Now at this point, I like to have the end of the stock on a flat surface so I can pull down the forearm. Then I can get this screwed on. And you should not have any gap between the forearm and the receiver whenever you're putting this on. Tighten it up good. There we go. Alright, now it should work. Let's see. Yep. Everything works good. The chamber goes forward and everything. So, alright guys, thank you guys for watching. That is the complete disassembly of a Remington 1148. So I hope that helps you guys out if you're wanting to know how to disassemble one of these. And be sure and subscribe and like the video, guys, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.